And obviously, that has worried Joe Torre and Mel Stottlemyre. That's his last start, giving up the home run there. Take a look at the last 5 starts.
Yeah, just a 1-2 record, and he averages just over 5 innings a start. That's the 8th lowest average for a starting pitcher in the American League. Of course, last night a big play in the game, which caused us to play 2 today, of course, was the ejection of David Wells in the first inning, and Joe Torre was not particularly happy about that, and that was really an unprofessional act by David Wells at that time.
No doubt about it. Not only was Joe Torre upset about it, you're looking at Bonet, the home plate umpire, and of course he said the magic word. I'm talking about David Wells to Bonet, and he is gone in the first inning.
Well, we mentioned that Joe Torre was not happy with David Wells' actions. This is what he had to say about it.
I was more than aggravated. I mean, that was no excuse for that. That was terrible. I mean, it was unprofessional, and he left us hanging, and there's no excuse for it.
All right, you got to learn to make those home plate umpires your friends. Well, we're going to be here for a long time today. As Al said, we might have a couple interruptions, but we'll have 2 games for you on MSG. Starting lineups coming back here at Pro Player Stadium right after this. Particularly large crowd at game 1. Here is the Yankees starting lineup brought to you by McDonald's. It'll have Derek Jeter leading off. Wade Boggs celebrating his 39th birthday today. He bats second, and Bernie Williams, Tino Martinez, Paul O'Neill, Mark Whitten in left. Pat Kelly gets the start today at second. Joe Girardi, Kenny Rogers will hit for the first time. And we're set to go before a quiet crowd here at Pro Player Stadium. Wish they'd come up with a different name. I mean,
how about PPS?
Yeah, that's more like it. The first pitch to Derek Jeter is ball 1.
Jim, you mentioned the fact that a lot of Yankees have never had a chance to face Pat Rapp. Only 3 Yankees, Boggs, Whitten, and Girardi are the only 3 that have had a chance to face Rapp.
High fastball, and he fouls him back 1 and 2. And that's always, I think, pitcher's advantage.
No doubt about it. And Pat Rapp has an unconventional delivery as he throws across his body. And sometimes that will throw your timing off, especially when you are seeing the pitcher for the first time.
That's way inside, 2 and 2. There's the unusual delivery that Bobby's talking about. I would think the name that comes to mind to Yankee hitters is Roger Pavlik of the Texas Rangers. He steps toward third base and then throws the ball back across the plate. It's one of the reasons he's had some control problems. Good fastball there, no problems. And Derek Jeter, with his first look at Pat Rapp, is down on strikes to start the game.
Let's take a look at the Marlins defense behind Rapp, brought to you by Modell's, Alou, Cangelosi, and Sheffield in right field. Bonilla Riturera back in shortstop. Abbott at second, Conine at first, and Charles Johnson, the 2-time Gold Glover, behind home plate. And Kurt Abbott, he has played shortstop. He can play many positions, and rightfully so for Jimmy Leyland, because you need a lot of utility players in the National League.
Abbott playing at second base tonight, started last night's game at shortstop. Here's Boggs, and we mentioned it is his 39th birthday. I don't know how you did on is your birthday during the season?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And if you're anything like Wade Boggs, you didn't hit particularly well on your birthday. And Boggs is about a .138 hitter, I think, on birthdays.
For about the last 18 years, I haven't hit very good at all on my birthday.
Yeah, you've hit it down the fairway, though.
No.
Boy, good fastball. And you pointed out before the game how starting at 1 o'clock, which they don't often do here, it has got to be tough to pick up the ball. There is a glare off that tarp in center field.
When you come to a new ballpark, the first thing you look at is the batting eye, and you can see in dead center field that tarpaulin out there is a kind of a light blue color.
Yeah.
With the sunshine on it, it becomes a real light blue. So it could pose a problem for the batter's eye.
Tap back toward the mound. Rapp can't get it, neither can Abbott. Rapp, happy birthday. A little seeing eye single for Wade Boggs with 1 out here in the Yankee first.
Well, once the ball gets past Rapp, Abbott's only play is to try to barehand it and throw across his body. Obviously, he couldn't pick it up barehanded, so it'll be an infield hit for Boggs.
So unlike most of his birthdays, which have not been successful from a hitting standpoint. Boggs gets an infield hit. Here's Bernie Williams. Getting back to that batter's eye, as you see Bernie's season numbers, most of the time it is black, a solid color. First of all, they don't play day games here at Pro Player Stadium very often, and so it isn't a factor, but today it will be. Breaking ball misses, ball one.
The last stadium I remember that had a similar batter's eye as we have here at Pro Player Stadium was in Oakland at the Coliseum before they renovated it for football, but it was kind of a green, a light green tarpaulin out in center field with a concrete type of overlay, and I mean with the bright sunshine you couldn't see a thing for the pitcher.
And they've changed that. Another one I always thought I heard hitters say was difficult in old Comiskey Park because it wasn't real dark out there. And so hitters love a dark, like a black or a dark green background.
Yeah, they used to set the fans in the center field section too at old Comiskey.
If you did not see the 2 innings plus in last night's ball game, Greg Bonet was behind the plate in that one. And he's very similar to Tim McClellan, the umpire in the American League. You have to wait a long, long time to finally get his strike call. And that last pitch was called a strike, so it's 1-2 to Bernie Williams.
Talking about waiting a long, long time. We waited an awful long time last night before they called this game.
Yeah, it was a real black eye for baseball, and I think for this franchise, Bernie Williams, typical, slaps the ball to the opposite field. He did that last night off Alex Fernandez in the first inning when the Yankees scored 4 runs. So 2 one-out singles here for the Yankees in the first inning. They have something going.
I like what Bernie does from the left side, as he did last night, as you pointed out, Jimmy. He takes the ball, and he's always looking to put the ball in play. You can see that Bernie a lot of times will choke up just a little bit, gives him more back control, and he just tries to slap the ball. If you're going to go away, he's going to take it away.
So Bernie had no trouble seeing the ball. And here's Tino Martinez. That's in for a strike. Bernie among the league leaders in opposite field hits, and most of those opposite field hits are as a left-hand hitter. In the air to left near the line, Cangelosi drifting toward the line. Now the ball is carrying, but he's going to track it down, and that's the second out of the Yankees first. The runners will hold. Last night, I mean, at 10 o'clock, I think everyone would have been satisfied if the Marlins management would have said, look, let's wipe this one out, play 2 tomorrow, or make arrangements with the players. But that's where fans really get the short end. They were asked to wait out here. I mean, we can do it. That's our job. We'll wait and see what decision they make. But for the fans to stay out here, I mean, baseball just does such a disservice to the fans by making them wait that long. Dave Dombrowski in the front right corner. Then that's the great Tony Perez, one of the special assistants to the general manager. Of course, that decision made by Don Smiley, the Marlins president. O'Neill with an opposite field line drive, but it seems like Paul's been doing that all year. It is right at the Marlins left fielder, Cangelosi. Pat gives up 2 singles in the first inning. The Yankees don't score. Kenny Rogers going to the mound. Back on MSG after this.
Gives them one more player for this first game.
Joe Torre with the shades on, the bright afternoon skies. That's fouled out of play by Cangelosi. And again, interleague play. A lot of you Yankee fans not familiar with the Florida Marlins. John Cangelosi came up in 1986 with the Chicago White Sox. He actually at the time set an American League rookie record. He stole 50 bases his rookie year. Kenny Lofton has since broken that record, and then he went on to play in Pittsburgh. He has carved out a very nice career as a backup outfielder. Now, how about that? That'll give you an idea of Greg Bonet's strike zone. I mean, Cangelosi was walking to the dugout. He thought he was out.
Cangelosi was going to the dugout. Yeah. Girardi was going to third to throw it around the horn, and Bonet never raised the hand.
I mean, what a difference in the 2 strike zones. We saw, man, and Joe, I hear you, Joe. You're just shaking your head. I mean, Cangelosi said, yeah, good pitch, I'm out. Everybody else, but Bonet said, no, it's a ball. And now that's ripped down the left field line, and it is just foul. Tossed foul. Said the third base umpire, who is the crew chief, Frank Pulley, but that doesn't look like Frank Pulley. It's not Frank Pulley.
Pulley's down at second, looks like. Well, that was just fouled by an eyelash.
Yeah, they rotated the base umpires. Frank Pulley, the crew chief, is at second. Now, when he's behind the plate, hitters know if it's close, you better be swinging. But Greg Bonet so far has had a very tight strike zone, and as a result, that's what got David Wells ejected last night. There was a close pitch to Luis Castillo in the first inning. Didn't think the call went his way. Well, let's take a look at the rest of the Marlins lineup. Brought to you by McDonald's. Edgar Renteria will bat second, then Kurt Abbott, Gary Sheffield, and Moises Alou. Bobby Bonilla bats sixth, Jeff Conine seventh, the catcher Charles Johnson, then Pat Rapp, who has a home run this year. He bats ninth. So a break for the Marlins. Cangelosi had started for the dugout. Instead, he's at first base, and here's the fine young shortstop, Edgar Renteria.
And the bad part about this is, you know what Kenny Rogers does with men on base. He doesn't fare too well as far as batting average is concerned when he's pitching to the batter, and especially with runners in scoring position.
And with the speed of Cangelosi, who just gets back, and Renteria at the top of the lineup, you're going to see a lot of this. Incidentally, you talked to me last night about being a weatherman. We have Al Troutwig with us today. He has informed us by, watching the Weather Channel that there is a severe thunderstorm watch in the area. So fasten your seat belts and get comfortable. We'll be here for a long time today. It's not a doubleheader. It is two separate games.
Called a split doubleheader.
There will be an hour and a half between games to allow the fans from the first game to get out and the fans from game two to come in. Slide step. And that's a counterproductive move, in my opinion. You slide step most of the time, the ball goes high and away, and that's where that one did. And it's ball one to Renteria. He's 21 years old, Edgar Renteria, from Colombia, and he was second in the National League last year in Rookie of the Year voting. He hit .309, and again is outside, 2-0.
Renteria, along with Castillo, make up some of the youngest double play combination in baseball. Jimmy Leyland looking on. Castillo not starting the first game of this split doubleheader here in Florida, but only 21 years of age, Renteria and Castillo.
Token toss to keep Cangelosi's close. Speaking of Rookie of the Year, just because you won a Rookie of the Year award doesn't make your job secure. Todd Hollinsworth, who won that award, was just sent down to the Dodgers AAA Farm Club at Albuquerque, not hitting well. Now it's 3-0.
And every year is a new year for baseball if you have that multi-year contract already underneath your belt. Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Well, you pointed it out, Bobby. When Kenny Rogers works from the windup, as you see Kurt Abbott on deck, he is a much better at throwing strikes. From the set position, he missed with the first three. Now that's in. It's 3-1.
Well, we talked about Pat Rapp throwing across his body. Rogers also throws across his body, but he toes the rubber way over towards the third base side. So that means he's really got to throw back across his body in order to find the strike zone.
And that one missed by a long way, so that's ball four. I think the first at bat, as it was last night for David Wells, was very depressing, not getting that third strike call.
Well, with two men on, the defense will come into play in the Yankee defense with Whitten, Williams, and O'Neill in the outfield. Boggs, Jeter, Kelly, Martinez in the infield with Girardi doing the catching, and Kelly gets a rare start now at second base, even though Mariano Duncan is a .453 hitter. Against Pat Rapp, Pat Kelly gets the start, and when you're in the doghouse, you're in the doghouse.
When you're hitting .500 against a starting pitcher and you don't play, you're pretty deep in there.
Stats normally get you.
Here's Kurt Abbott, and first pitch swinging fouls that out of play. He's hitting in the third spot. You don't think of a utility infielder hitting there, but Abbott really known more for his hitting than his glove. 2 years ago, he hit 17 home runs.
And he can do so many things, too. I mean, he not only can hit home runs, he can hit behind the runner, he hit and run, he can bunt. He knows how to swing the bat. He's got good control.
Shows bunt here, takes outside for a ball. Of course, this would, and Jim Leland knows this, the Marlins manager. There's your thunderstorms in the area. If they do bunt the 2 runners over, first base open, Gary Sheffield's going to get a walk. Jim Leland knows that. But Moises Alou batting next is their leading RBI guy. Wind's picking up.
You know, with thunderstorms in the area, he may want to try to get that quick lead.
Chases that pitch out of the strike zone.
You not only have to play your players, but you also have to play the weather sometimes in your hometown.
This area cries for a retractable dome. They haven't been postponed that much. Last night was the first time this year, but so many rain delays that you have to play through, and that really has kept the crowds down here in South Florida. Breaking ball got him. Abbott knew it. He walked away. Didn't get the call on Cangelosi, but he did on that one, and that's the first out of the inning.
Herb Abbott at the plate, and the first pitch, a fastball outside, fouled away. And he goes outside again. Good pitch by Rogers there, and then he just throws a curveball on the outside corner to strike out a big batter in this inning. A pretty good sequence of pitches by Kenny Rogers to Abbott. He'll have to do the same here with Sheffield.
Yeah, you see Sheffield digging in, getting comfortable. I don't know if he'll do that in game 2 against his uncle. Doc Gooden will face Gary Sheffield in game 2. Between the two of them, they have about 300 friends and family members that are going to be attending the game when Doc pitches later on this afternoon or early evening. So here's Sheffield, and the backdoor breaking ball low for a ball.
Sheffield's got to be disappointed about last night's rainout because he had a grand slam in the first inning that was washed away with the rain. And that would have been his 5th grand slam in his career. Grand slam that tied the game up. The Yankees took a 4-0 lead top of the first inning. The grand slam tied it up.
Rogers looking in too. That pitch called low by Greg Bonet. It's very unusual to see a National League umpire with a tight strike zone. There's the runners, both reached on base on balls, Cangelosi and Renteria.
Same thing that cost David Wells thrown out of the game last night, and Joe Torre was a little bit upset too, but David Wells thought that Bonet was squeezing him in the first inning. I didn't really see it that much on some of the pitches we saw, but I think that Wells felt very strongly about being squeezed.
That is in for a strike. Sheffield waiting for the delayed call, and it's 3-1. Yeah, I thought from the first pitch that Boggs drew a walk on that the strike zone was a lot tighter than with Frank Pulley. Of course, most are. Jim Leland and his bench coach Jerry Manuel. That's in for a strike, and the count is full.
Really not the type of pitching pattern you would like to have to Sheffield. No. Fall behind 3-0 and then have to throw 2 quality pitches to make it 3-2 with Alou on deck.
Alou with 55 RBIs, the Marlins RBI leader. See if both runners are in motion here with the 3-2 count. You would expect they would be. Typical Kenny Rogers inning. You see his eyes aren't on the target, on the hitter. You'll see him kind of looking around almost like he's going through his thought process while he's gazing off into the distance. Now he zeroes in on Girardi. Runners on the go, and the ball is high, and Sheffield draws the 3rd walk of the inning, and the Marlins have a home. This start, Bobby, could go 2 ways for Kenny Rogers. Joe Torre has said he's taken him out of the rotation. You can go out there and say, I'm going to show you I can pitch. Or you can go out there and say, well, the only reason I'm starting is because of an emergency. And if you go out there with that kind of attitude, your concentration isn't there. Look what it's causing Joe Torre to do. He's juggling baseballs in the lineup.
All Normally Joe is very relaxed on the bench, as Jimmy Leyland on the other side. He always paces up and down, but with the bases loaded here in another typical Kenny Rogers inning, they're flabbergasted. They have no clue in what's going on with Rogers.
And a little first pitch swinging, hits it out into short, deep right center. Actually, this going to carry to the track. This will clear the bases, and Moises Alou, with a bases clearing double in the first inning, has given the Marlins a 3-0 lead. They walk Sheffield, and he capitalizes on it.
Well, that's the reason Alou is the leading RBI guy on this ball club. He gets a chance to hit most of the time with runners on base because of Sheffield's walks, and he comes through, and that's the reason they have Alou batting fifth. And the wind really picked that one up and just blew it away from Bernie. It looked like Bernie would have a chance to catch it, and all of a sudden it just kind of took off.
And here's Bobby Bonilla. That's low for a ball. Yeah, as we mentioned, the wind is picking up. That it sounded almost like it was off the end of the bat, but it is deep out there in right center field. You can actually see our center field camera wavering a bit, and the flags and the tarp up on the seats there as well.
That only means one thing.
You got it.
There's rain in the air.
It is on the way. Bonilla chases that pitch, and it's a ball and a strike. Bobby hitting .327. Only 4 home runs, but he has 21 doubles. Inside.
From both sides for Bobby Bowe, he is a free swinger. He will be swinging if the ball is normally close to the strike zone. Now, the one thing you don't want to try to give Bonilla a chance to hit is a fastball.
Tapped up the middle. Jeter is there. He'll field it on the run and toss out Bonilla as Alou advances to third. There are now 2 down in the Marlin first.
That was the kind of pitch that he was hoping that he could throw Alou, get Alou to hit the ball on the ground. But when you have a quality hitter up there in a situation that Alou was in, he's looking to get the ball in the air someplace.
Jeff Conine, if you had to say Mr. Marlin, this would be the guy. He's been an all-star selection twice. He was picked in the first round of the expansion draft, but not hitting well yet this year, and he lofts that out into center field where Bernie Williams puts it away. So the 3 walks by Kenny Rogers are costly. Moises Alou, with a bases loaded double, gives the Marlins a 3-0 lead as we head to the top of the second. Cleveland would like to see your team gets 3 runs on the board and get your pitcher out there and get 3 quick outs, get back in the dugout.
Have him throw strikes, no walks, and Rapp has really only had 1 bad outing all year for the Marlins, and that came in Colorado at the Rockies. Boy, you can see the wind blowing here at Pro Players Stadium, blowing our camera all around. We're going to have to get a guy wire out there and tie him down.
I'm going to say South Florida. I'm getting tired of trying to say that. Pro Player Stadium. Here's Pat Kelly. In a rare start, Pats only have 25 at bats, and how hard is the wind blowing? Well, it's blown one of the partitions in the left field wall. They're going to right now. I mean, that reminds me of who was it a couple of years ago? A little Scooter McRae that ran through the outfield fence.
But that was a wooden fence.
Yeah, he just ran right through it.
Man.
But that's how the wind is picking up here in South Florida, and that's typical. This time of the year, you really need to start the games about 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning. Cangelosi gets overtime for that, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's probably fallen down before, and he's had to fix it. But quickly, the crew, I'll tell you this, ground crew, they get their money's worth out of them. They're out here a long time. They put a lot of hours in. How many times do you think they've taken that tarpaulin and put it on and taken it off the field?
I think they have their own physical fitness director because they do get their work in. And of course, the reason that is it looks like a temporary fence, it is. The Dolphins play here during the football season, and all that stuff comes down and the seats come in from left field. I think if this franchise stays here, they're going to have to get a retractable dome if they want to draw the kind of fans they anticipate. You know, Wayne Huizinga, the owner, had an article in the paper today saying we got a contending team and we aren't drawing. Well, what we've seen this weekend, why would you come out here if you know you're going to sit through 3 or 4 rain delays?
Absolutely. And Huizinga has said that that he would entertain selling this ball club if the attendance doesn't pick up. He says, and I couldn't believe this, if we sell out every game in 1997, we're still going to lose $15 million. What kind of business deal is that?
Not the kind he usually makes.
Man.
Breaking ball. Kelly swings through it, and it's 0-2. Wayne Huizinga is famous for taking companies and building them up and then selling and moving on, and maybe that's what he has in mind with them.
Did I read this right? This year he expects to lose like $30 million with this ball club. $30 million.
Well, he has, starting with expansion draft picks like Pat Rapp and Jeff Conine, has built a nucleus of a ball club. Young players, Renteria, Castillo. But now he's gone out and spent money on the free agents. We're at third base. Bonilla is there with the toss to Conine in time, and there are 2 out in the Yankees second. I think now with Fernandez and Alou and Bonilla and the money he spent there, he said, well, get me a contending team and win, and then maybe he'll sell it.
Well, where in the heck are you going to make any money? I mean, if you're going to lose $30 million, putting out the kind of money you put out, even if they sell out here, he says I could lose $15 million. Where's the budget?
Well, but I think we know that where owners eventually make money is the increased value in franchise. I mean,
you hope.
But they all seem to go up. I mean, I'm sure there'll come a time here in the next couple of years. But yeah, there's a couple of guys right there. Al Leiter, Kevin Brown.
If you lose $30 million a year until that franchise appreciates, how much is the interest going to be on that? That thing's going to have to be way up there.
All smiles on that Marlin bench. There's a couple of their utility players, John Wayner and Cliff Floyd. That is on the corner to Joe Girardi, and the count is 1-2.
Girardi has faced Pat Rapp before, has failed to get a hit off of him.
Just a little low. Pat Rapp from Sulphur, Louisiana. Well, the Yankees had a Louisiana Lightning. From the left side, Ron Guidry pitched his college ball at the University of Southern Mississippi. That's tapped foul at the plate, and the count is still 2-2.
That's a Rapp tap.
Rapp tap.
And it's starting to rain just a little bit here. As you can see, Girardi looking up at the sky.
All you have to do is look at the stand. I mean, it's like it's like somebody has said they're giving something away in the concession stand. And that's high for a ball, and the count is full. See, all you have to do is look at that, and that tells you that the rain is coming. I had heard you're not allowed to bring an umbrella in here.
No, you're not.
You can take a rain poncho. Girardi, and you see the disgust on Rapp's face after getting ahead of Joe. He loses Girardi, and there's a 2-out walk here in the Yankees second. And now this is a first. Kenny Rogers. With some of the Yankee pitchers, they have had an at-bat, like David Cohn and Doc Gooden and David Wells, but not Kenny Rogers. This is his first.
And he's not paying any attention to Bonet.
No, he's not. As David Wells did last night.
It's got to bring you back to what happened last night in David Wells' first at-bat.
Yeah, the Yankee pitchers have been taking batting practice, and they've been pumped up for this opportunity. Fouled off, and it's a ball and a strike. And really, since this first weekend of interleague play, the American League pitchers have hit just about as well as the National League pitchers. Not well, but just as well.
And on cue, there's the ground crew getting ready, and here they come.
Hey, guess what? That's South.
One thing about the pitchers, they weren't really working on their bunting that much. They wanted to go for the long ball. That's what everybody wants to do. They want to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
I'm going to swing that bat. Here we go. We will get you the official time of the delay in a moment. Well over an hour. And the first pitch to Rogers is on the inside corner, and it's a ball and 2 strikes.
You think Kenny will be looking for something inside the pull?
He'd be hacking. Nope, he took that one. 2-2. A rain delay of 1 hour and 12 minutes. I think that's the exact time of the rain delay last night before the game actually started.
The first one.
Yeah. That gets by Charles Johnson. Girardi will move up. And And again, both pitching coaches will monitor their pitchers. In Pat Rapp's case, Larry Rothschild. And then when Rogers goes to the mound, there's Rothschild on the Marlin bench. Just to see once when they watch that pitching motion, hey, is he tightened up after the rain delay, or is he able to throw free and easy? Pretty good hack by Rogers. Stayed alive, fouled it off.
The thing about Pat Rapp is that in 1995 he had the disc surgery, a herniated disc in his back, so he had that taken out. That proved to be not the thing for him in 1996, so they'll have to watch that stiff back.
Tapped out toward the mound. Rapp will make the play and toss to Jeff Conine in time. So Kenny Rogers is retired in his first major league at bat. The Yankees strand one more, and we go to the bottom of the second inning here in a rain-plagued weekend series. The Marlins lead at 3-0. And normally they send the pitchers down to the bullpen, so you got time to get ready.
Well, I'm sure obviously he'll get all the pitches that he wants to warm up. The thing I would worry about is the field here at Pro Players Stadium. But with all the rain that we've had last night and already today, it really doesn't look that bad. I mean, I'm watching the outfielders as they move around in the outfield. They don't seem to be walking, you know, like lightly or gingerly. And there doesn't seem to be any water hanging around. So the field is probably in pretty good position. I mean, in condition.
They have a pump system here, and we saw it in operation last night, where when they turn those pumps on and the ground crew gets out the squeegees, it really absorbs, you know, the water. Most playing surfaces that are not artificial turf, you'll see some standing water in the outfield. You remember they never cared about you outfielders. They'd get the infield ready, but you'd be standing ankle deep in water.
They didn't care. All we had to do was put the plastic bags over our feet just to keep our socks from getting too wet. That never worked. That was before they invented dry joys.
Here's Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson, a throwback from a standpoint of a catcher who, as a young player, has made the roster as a result of his catching ability and hitting second. Remember, you'd see those catchers that hit 220, 8 or 10 home runs, knocked in a few runs, but they could catch. Well, that's Charles Johnson. And he rips that one, but foul down the left field line. Nice pick by the ball boy.
Absolutely. The thing about Charles Johnson and his offense is that they claim that he has a long swing. In other words, it takes him a long time to get the bat through the strike zone. He would be vulnerable to the high pitch.
And the interesting matchup, Bobby, is that Kenny Rogers is not a high ball pitcher, which is probably why Johnson ripped that ball down the left field line. He likes that ball down. Fouls that out of play, and it's 2-2. Charles from just up the road at Fort Pierce, Florida, where his dad was his high school coach at the University of Miami, and that's where he kind of showcased his ability and was drafted by the Marlins. Towards shortstop, Jeter to his left a couple of strides, picks it, throws to Tino Martinez in time, and that's the first out in the Marlins' second.
I think that's one of the good things about interleague play is we get a chance to see a guy like Charles Johnson, who is young and has been voted as being maybe the best catcher in all of baseball defensively, and that puts him in a pretty good category with Pudge Rodriguez down in Texas. They say he may be better than him.
Well, the Yankees certainly got a chance to see his throwing ability on Friday night. Here's Pat Rapp, averages of $167, but he has a home run this year. Fouled out of play, 1-1.
Probably hit it at Coors Field.
Yeah. And you were mentioning the chance to see the stars from the other league, and the naysayers, of course, look at this right here. Who in the world wants to see a pitcher hit? But in the game of baseball, with the pitchers in the lineup, it's right by Rapp, 1 and 2. You match up with your opposing pitcher. So the goal used to be, well, I'm going to work on my hitting so I can become, I can be a better hitter than my mound opponent. And it also puts a great deal more strategy in the game, as we saw Friday night. Weak pop up right side. Tino Martinez there puts it away, 2 down.
Dude, I've seen some great hitters pop the ball up like that. Right. Big deal. But you're right. You talk about strategy, a lot more strategy, obviously, in the National League. And talking to Leyland before today's ball game, he said, you know what, if I have Kevin Brown pitching, he's pitching well, but we happen to be behind and it's the 5th or 6th inning. He said, I'm going to have to take Kevin out there for a pinch hitter.
Jim Leyland going through a few. He'll go through a few cups of soda in today's game. Right center field by Cangelosi, and this is going to find the gap where Bernie Williams cuts it off, and Cangelosi will have a 2-out double.
Cangelosi, one of those pesky hitters, and he just takes the low outside fastball and delivers it into right center field. He's got good speed.
A switch hitter, but in the lineup today because he is a better right-handed hitter than left in the second game this afternoon or this evening or later tonight, whenever it starts. Doc Gooden will pitch for the Yankees, and we'll probably see Jim Eisenreich. Here's Edgar Renteria. Swing, no contact. When you look at Renteria, he's almost a miniature version of Gary Sheffield. The way he waves that bat. Normally you see those little middle infielders with a short, compact swing just trying to poke the ball. This guy tries to unload on it pretty well. There's Sheffield, who had his grand slam home run in the first inning last night, wiped out. 1-1.
Well, he's got some what is that? That looks like a tape black underneath his eye.
Yeah, that's
not the real stuff.
That's the tape on.
It's like real diamonds, though.
I think they are.
Yeah. Appear to be, anyway.
Ground foul at the plate. It's 1-2 to Renteria.
You know, you brought up the fact that Renteria uses that bat in his hands like Sheffield does. That's more of a timing factor. Something that, you know, some guys, they wiggle the bottom part of their body. Some guys, they'll just kind of hold the bat up above their head before they position it in the hitting position. Some guys will do it like Renteria and also Sheffield. Just a timing factor. Before they get hit, though, they've got to stop that and put the bat in position to swing.
Ooh, good swing there, fouled straight back. I'm trying to visualize your stance. I know you're in a little bit of a crouch, but I don't remember excessive hand movement. You know, look, it's tough to start from a static position.
I used to swing the bat back and forth low, and I'd do that, you know, 3 or 4 times, and as I saw the pitcher go into the windup, then that's when I would set my hands. It worked about 1 every 4 times.
Yeah, I think a little more than that. Somewhere between 1 out of 4 and 1 out of 3, which for hitters is pretty successful. A former teammate of mine did that same thing, Tony Oliva. He used to kind of wave, yeah. A lot of right-hand pitchers remember him. It's 2-2 to Renteria with 2 out. Cangelosi's at second. We're in the bottom of the second inning, hour 12-minute rain delay, so we will be here today at South Florida for quite a while. Missed the inside edge. Rogers thought he may have had it, and now the count is run full to Renteria.
One thing I have noticed about these Marlin hitters, they come to the plate swinging the bat. They're not up there looking for a base on balls. Aggressive ball club offensively.
Up the middle, Jeter ranging to his left as the mound slowed it down a bit, and he tosses out Renteria to end the Marlins second. So Cangelosi gets a 2-out double, no damage done, and Kenny Rogers heads to the Yankee dugout where his team is trailing 3-0. We go to the top of the third in the air near the Marlin bullpen. Conine giving chase and will run out of room. So the count is full to Jeter.
Well, Rapp joins this trio. Fernandez, Brown, and Al Leiter. There was some talk that Rapp may not be with this ball club in 1997. Boggs on deck because of his performance in 1996, and I think that they have decided to let some of their young pitchers down, try to work themselves in with the big 3.
Jeter's a strikeout victim for the second time, so certainly he has looked effective here against the Yankees.
And this is the second time that Jeter has gone down on strikes. And what looks like to maybe be a bit of a cut fastball or a slider, talking to pitching coach Larry Rothschild, he says that's just the movement on his fastball. That is not a slider.
Here's Boggs. There's that movement you talked about. Well, a lot of times that can happen just by your finger pressure. If you've got a little more pressure, say, on the middle finger, it'll make it cut a little bit, look like a slider. fastball there, and he didn't go. 2-0.
You remember Hal Renniff, who used to pitch out of the bullpen for the Yankees? Well, he had that natural, like when he threw a fastball, it was more like a cut fastball all the time. He couldn't actually throw one straight.
That's outside. The dugout term for that when we'd face Hal Renniff, or we had a relief pitcher named Al Worthington, as we would say, guy got a Navy ball. Sailor. Right? Just sails a little bit, or cuts like a slider. Boggs on the 2-1 pitch fouls it out of play, and the count's even.
Talking about Renniff in spring training, I mean, when you were down there, of course, the pitchers are always ahead of the hitters early on in spring training. Renniff, he'd go through about, I'd say about 2 big tree trunks of wood down there.
I'll bet he could break some bats.
He broke a lot of bats. You'd have to order bats about halfway through spring training just because of Renniff.
You know, that's such a good lesson for pitchers, and I think about today with Kenny Rogers pitching. If you'd come out and watch batting practice, that's hit sharply, but it's right at Abbott. So Boggs, who dribbled the ball towards second in his first at bat and got a hit and smoked that one and was retired. So he was even up for the day on his birthday, 1 for 2, and that's 2 down in the Yankee third. When I think about watching batting practice, where pitchers just lay the ball in and try to let hitters hit it, and they still make a lot of outs. That's such a good lesson for pitchers to show you that if you throw strikes, boy, the advantage is really with you.
No doubt about it. And when you have to pitch behind all the time, 2-0, 3-0, 3-1, and when you're walking guys and put men on base, that puts additional pressure on you to throw strikes all the time, like he had to do to Alou. And Alou comes through with a base hit in center field.
Bernie Williams takes the fastball on the edge for a strike. I can remember when Bobby Richardson retired in 1966. If the winning run was on second base, I couldn't get him out. And I pitched that day. We got a big lead, and I told Earl Batty, our catcher, I said, tell Bobby, nice belt-high fastballs. Tell him what's coming. I'd like to see him have a nice day. We had a big lead. He hit 5 of the nicest pop-ups. But if I was trying to get him out with a good pitch, he'd be hitting doubles down the line.
It was like 437, I think, in left center field in the old stadium. And I saw Bobby hit, I mean, he hit more balls in left center field, about 420.
Yeah.
They would have been out of any other ballpark but Yankee Stadium.
Good breaking ball there from Rapp. There's the good curveball we had heard about, along with the live fastball or the cutter.
Big swooping breaking ball, and of course you see it, and all of a sudden when you're swinging at it, it just dips down and in on you.
1-2 to Bernie. Got a base hit his first time up. Yankees threatened into first. They left 2. Bernie, I think, more than any other Yankee hitter does this. He will step out and try to disrupt the rhythm of the pitcher. Got him. Backdoor breaking ball, and Greg Bonet with a demonstrative strikeout call. So a pair of strikeouts in the third inning for Pat Rapp. He's got 4 strikeouts in the game, and through 2.5, the Marlins lead this one 3-0.
It was windy when I
Side pitch, and it is 4-0 Florida.
Well, you like to pitch Sheffield in. You can see Girardi setting up inside, and Rogers just didn't get in far enough with good enough stuff. And it's a home run by Sheffield.
Breaking ball into Moises Alou. Pitch him in, but the old saying, if you're going to get in there, you better have plenty on it. And there wasn't enough on that one. That is as quick a bat as there is in the National League. Another look at it.
Let's take one more look at it. See where Girardi is setting up, and the quickness of that bat. Even though he's popping that bat back and forth, he sets it before he swings, and he is quick inside.
Moises Alou fouls that out of play, and it's a ball and 2 strikes. And again, and you can see in that picture by the Marlin dugout, just a little rain falling here at Pro Player Stadium.
Yeah, that won't hurt anybody. We're used to it.
Got to be waterproof by now. Hit well, left center field. Witten is going to play this off the gap in left center, and Moises Alou now has a double, his second of the game.
Well, Rogers against the middle of this order, and Alou looks like he owns Kenny Rogers. 2 doubles now and 3 RBIs from the Alou bat. And you can see why Leyland has Alou hitting behind Sheffield, because they don't like to pitch to Sheffield that much, and Alou's always there to clean it up for him.
Here's Bobby Bonilla. Wow. I was going to say strike 1 at the knees, but that is ball 1 to Bonilla. Popped up center field. Kelly out. Now Bernie Williams coming on, and he'll make the call, and the catch. That's 2 down. Bobby, I noticed that when you look around Pro Player Stadium and you look down at anytime a pitcher's in trouble, you look at that bullpen and say somebody's going to be up. Look, the tarp is on, and I think there's a reason for that. Doc Gooden's pitching the second game, and now with the Yankees behind, I think Joe Torre might say, look, Kitty, we're going to sacrifice today. We're going to see if you can get straightened out, take one for the team, and see what you can do.
I think that's exactly the way the strategy is for Joe Torre. He's got to make a decision somewhere along the line. You know that Doc Gooden's probably not going to throw more than 100 pitches in his first time back, so he's going to have to go to the bullpen anyway. I think you're exactly right. So Gooden sits there, waits for his turn after this game is over with. Been a long time since Gooden has been in a regular season game.
That pitch low, and it's a ball and a strike. And we've talked about one of the popular draws in baseball today is minor league baseball. In fact, it's so popular that the Yankee owner went to a minor league game today in Tampa. And
you're talking about George Steinbrenner,
yeah,
right? Okay.
And the irony is with Kenny Rogers on the mound today, George is watching Hideki Arabu pitch in Tampa, and just handed a note showing his pitching line. Arabu went 5 innings in Tampa today, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 6 strikeouts, 60 pitches. And granted, that's Class A ball, but all of his outings have been very, very impressive.
And everybody that you talked to, Reggie Jackson was in the stadium Friday night. Got a chance to visit with Reggie and ask Reggie, is Arabu for real? And he said, he's for real.
Yep.
He said, man, he's got a splitter that he throws about 90 miles an hour and it breaks off the table. So we heard so much about that splitter, you know, along with that good fastball that Arabu has. Probably won't be soon enough for Mel Stottlemyre and Torre right now.
Have a chance to work with him. And Conine draws a walk. Well, and Joe is just going to sit back and relax. Part of it is the control, and part of it today, as you saw from that pitch there, it is a very, very minuscule strike zone. Let's take a look at the sequence.
Killer factor for Joe Torre to have to watch this from Kenny Rogers. With 1 man on, 2 men out, this is Conine. He doesn't even hardly come close to throwing a strike.
See, I think 2 of those pitches with most other umpires behind the plate are strikes. The first one and the last one went across the plate at the knees. Here's Charles Johnson. That catches the edge.
Not close to throwing strikes because of Kenny Rogers' reputation. I'm sure that everybody knows about it. Whether you're in the National League or the American League, he's always behind in the count and throws a lot of pitches. You and I talked about, you know, Rogers and what we thought maybe was wrong. And, of course, you could better say because of your pitching experience. But it looked like it's his mechanics more than anything else that causes him to release the ball in an area he shouldn't be releasing it.
That's out of play 1 and 2. The amazing thing is, you're right, he does not have fluid mechanics like Andy Pettitte, for example, because as a high school player, he was an outfielder. But the reverse of that is you look at him and say, hey, the guy was 17-7 2 years ago with those mechanics, and he was a hard throwing relief pitcher before that. So certainly he proved that with that a bit unusual motion, he could pitch effectively in the big leagues. Girardi has to sweep to the inside to block that one, and it's 2-2 to Johnson.
I don't know this to be true, but I know it's true in other cases. It happened to me as a player, but as I got older, I had to make some adjustments from what I did before. Some things that I could do when I was younger. As you take a look at the motion now, how straight he is standing up and where that release point is, and that's the problem that he has when he loses the ball high and outside on these right-handed hitters.
Gets no leg drive, no drop and drive, as our good friend Stanley Williams used to say. That's a comebacker. Kenny Rogers can field his position well. He does there. The Marlins are retired in the fourth, but Sheffield's home run increases the lead to 4-0. Al Trotwig will join me in the top of the fourth. Back after this.
I should say Tino has as well. And just checking things out in Atlanta, the Braves have come back to tie things at 3 in the 8th inning with the Baltimore Orioles.
The fun of watching the scoreboard up here has been to keep about play.
Last I looked, it was 14-14, wasn't it?
I think that's it. Yesterday, because this game was rained out, I think it was 7-7. And maybe the American League has a 1-game lead.
The 2-2 pitch to Martinez.
The Blue Jays leading the Phillies again today, 9-1. And Kansas City a winner. Or rather leading. Minnesota's lead. So far today, the American League has a little edge.
And Tino swings at that Rapp breaking ball. And he's got his strikeout stuff working today, Pat Rapp. That's his fourth.
That's his fourth on that overhand curveball with a good bite to it. As Bobby Mercer said, the Marlins were thinking about going with some of their younger pitchers, and Rapp may have been eliminated from the rotation. This is a guy as a number 4 starter with some pretty good stuff. He won 14 games a couple years ago, went win for win with Greg Maddux the second half of the year till he had the back injury.
Paul O'Neill's hitting .311. Fly to center field his first time up. Still overcast. And no real dark, high thunderclouds right now, which have characterized the weather. I mean, that looks pretty threatening, but it's nothing compared to some of the big thunderclouds we've had in South Florida this weekend. 1-1 to Paul O'Neill.
You had a good time during the weekend, and you missed Friday night's game where Paul O'Neill got to play first base. We talked about it on the scorecard show.
It's pretty wild when you watch a game like that and you see things you can't believe that you're seeing. I mean, when I joined the game, it was late. It was during the rain delay, and then when it started getting down to, you know, no pitchers available in the bullpen, and Alou is out of the game, and I'm thinking, well, what kind of situation brought that on?
Well, that's what it was Friday night. 35 players were used. The Marlins used 7 pitchers. As a result, they used more players. The Yankees had 3 guys at first base: Cecil Fielder, Tino, and Paul O'Neill, and then O'Neill and I think Witten and Scott Pose all played right field that night.
Pitch to O'Neill is low. Oh, he's having a great day. He beat Don Zimmer in ping pong, and now he's got a walk.
How about that?
A 1-out walk to Paul O'Neill.
That seems to be a popular addition to a lot of major league clubhouses these days. Ping pong table.
What would the Yankees have done without one last night?
Oh, man, he had a real round-robin tournament going down there.
Here's Mark Witten, who grounded to second his first time up. I know at MSG Network we had one at a trade show and put one outside the broadcast center at the Garden. Revamped everyone's morale.
You're good at it.
I never got invited to play, but everybody else played. Checking out interleague play on the Wiz scoreboard.
And now that it's started, and we have not had a chance to do a game and debate pros and cons, do you like it, interleague play?
Not really. I don't particularly care for it. I love the fact that it's generated a lot of enthusiasm, and I think that's great for the game. Anything that can get people excited about mid-season, regular season baseball is good. So in that respect, yeah, I love it a lot. But would I have designed it into the game? No, I don't think so.
No?
No.
Why? You want to keep the league separate till you go to the World Series?
I like the charisma that the World Series has. Personally, I always have. I always think that that little unknown added so much to the Yankees and the Braves World Series, and I hate to lose that mystique of that event. But again, anything that's good for fans, and obviously fans like it, so yeah, I think it's good. But again, as we've talked about before, I mean, I'd love to see Yankees Red Sox mean something again, and I'd like to get as much Yankees Orioles as we possibly can, and they've got to flip-flop the schedule a little bit. I'll really dislike it if it doesn't mean at least Yankees Mets every year. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. 2-2 to Mark Whitten. And the count is full.
And now we're seeing the erratic control of Pat Rapp with that unusual motion where he steps toward third base. You can see him hanging his head. I mean, he's right on top of his game for about 2 hitters, and then it just leaves him in an instant.
And Rapp has lost Mark Whitten. With 1 out, the Yankees have 2 base runners. Jimmy, can you pinpoint where he's got a problem?
Well, what he does is we'll see if we can see it from the side motion there. Where he strides right down here is actually toward third base. And we talked about Roger Pavlik with the Texas Rangers, who has that problem. And pitching coaches don't want to alter his motion because when he gets it over, he's very effective. But anytime you don't point that front leg directly toward the hitter, there's always a lot more margin for error. So it's the old pitcher's term. He throws across his body.
The hitter is Pat Kelly, starting today at second base. And for Pat, every start these days is important. He doesn't want to not take advantage of every chance he has to impress Joe Torre. Now, I'm no pitcher, but going back to Pat Rapp, is he taking a long enough stride? It seems to be a very short stride to me.
Wouldn't be anything wrong with a short stride. That would help you get the ball down. He's just flat. His arm angle's dropping down. It's funny, Mel Stottlemyre, pitching coaches pick up on things. Mel Stottlemyre is watching Mark Wohlers pitch on television yesterday. He said, I wish I could run to see. Watch his arm right here is going to drop down just a little bit. He's not going to get it up quite high enough. Kind of comes around his body. Right there, you'd like to see it, maybe that pitching hand be a little higher. And that's why the ball is sailing up and in. Larry Rothschild out to there, Leland rather, out to the mound. But Mel is saying, I wish I could run to Atlanta and take Mark Wohlers and just lift his arm up a little. He said his arm is dropping down. And that's the same thing, I'm sure, watching from the bench that they're seeing with Pat Rapp. You know, if the arm drops down, then the ball sails high. If the arm stays up, then the ball goes low, which is where you want it. See how low his elbow is there? He's underneath.
And it's 3 balls and no strikes. Boy, every time we take a look at a slow-mo, or in that case a freeze frame of a pitcher's arm during delivery, you marvel at the wear and tear that the joints, the ligaments, and everything go through. Ramiro Mendoza available out of the bullpen for Joe Torre here today. And guess what? The Yankees have the bases loaded. Joe Girardi coming to the plate.
And this is the toughest time for a pitcher. You look at the Pat Rapp pitching motion once again, where the arm drops down, the stride is over toward third base, and I mean, there's just a number of things that can go wrong from that motion. Usually the ball going to do one of 2 things. It's going to sail up and in to a right-hand hitter, as those are, or he's going to hang on to it and it'll go low and away. And you see what Charles Johnson did there? He called for a curveball because if he can't throw his fastball over, the curve is a touch and feel pitch. We'll call for a breaking ball, see if he can get him in his rhythm.
Didn't work. It's 1-0. Bases loaded with Kenny Rogers scheduled to hit another ball, and the Yankee fans here in South Florida make some noise.
And I know Joe Girardi's an aggressive hitter and the bases are loaded, but right now I got to keep that bat on my shoulder and make this guy show me that he can throw a strike or 2.
Lost another one. He's a ball away from getting the Yankees on the scoreboard. Everything looked fine. The inning started, he threw his 4th strikeout, and it all changed. Felix Heredia and Rob Stanifer out of the bullpen. gets the strike. Gets away, blocked by Johnson. It's going to be 3-1 Yankees. 4 straight walks by Pat Rapp.
And the pacing starts. He might give him one more. Leland may give him one more hitter.
His displeasure is obvious, and you know who's not going to get one more hitter is Kenny Rogers.
Yep.
Cecil Fielder has come out of the Yankee dugout. And Kenny Rogers had, I don't know if you can say it, one last chance to hold on to a starting job. Who knows how it's going to work out, but he took no advantage of this last second start at all.
No, sometimes it's not even the results, it's the approach, and his approach did not look any more aggressive. Leland waited for Joe Torre to make his move, and he says, nope, I'm going to bring in a fresh arm, someone Cecil Fielder has not seen before, and that's going to be young Rob Stanifer.
So Pat Rapp is finished. He has given up 1 run. He's got a lot of possibilities as far as inherited runs out there on the base paths. With 1 out, it all came undone. A walk to Paul O'Neill, then Mark Whitten, Pat Kelly, Joe Girardi, and in the process he got Kenny Rogers out of the game too.
Is that called a bad rap?
Yes, a very bad rap. Back in a moment.
To Tim McClellan. Great
make the call.
Joe up off the bench as he has been most of the time. I mean, the strike zone's been pretty tight, and now
that's
all of a sudden
outside.
on 3-0, it's liberal.
That's 6 inches off the plate. Cecil rips one. Grabbed at third. Beautifully done by Bonilla. Across and in time. The lack of speed for Cecil Fielder kills the rally. Against Ramiro Mendoza, who's hoping that the sinker sinks. He's had 1 at bat this season. Rookie from South Carolina, the state, not the school. Ooh. And he had 1 hit, so he's 1 for 1.
Pretty good swing, leading the world in hitting 1,000. Yeah, you can tell if pitchers are good hitters, see, they get out of the box like regular players. They take that practice swing. Pitchers that can't hit just stand there.
Foul back, so it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Since the speaking of hitting for pitchers, since the designated hitter in 1973 till this weekend series started, there had only been 8 Yankee pitchers in 24 years that have actually had a chance to hit. That's how long it's been.
And none of them got a hit.
No.
Yankee pitchers haven't had a hit since 1972.
And the guy I never heard of got that.
I was going to ask you how to pronounce his name.
You know, usually you'll say, hey, do you remember so-and-so played with, like, the last pitcher to hit a home run, Rorick Harrison? Not a household name, but I remember him. Okay. Right-hand pitcher, pitched with the Orioles and pitched with the Astros. But the last pitcher to get a hit for the Yankees, I cannot recall, and this was back in 72 when I was playing, Larry Gowell, G-O-W-E-L-L, or Gowell. Never heard of him.
I didn't either. Over the glove of Mendoza. Played nicely by Kelly. Quick release. And the pitcher is gone. 1 away. Must have been a call-up or something, maybe?
Pretty good bet. Yeah, it was on the last day of the season in 1972. So you're right. It had to be a September call-up.
Well, Jimmy's going to get the electronic encyclopedia going. John Cangellosi will step to the plate. Cangelosi's had a very successful ball game. Walked and scored a run in the first. That was Kenny Rogers' most recent inning of regret. In the second inning, he doubled, but was left stranded. See the Marlins box score. Sheffield and Alou getting it done. Plus Cangellosi starting it off at the top of the order. Ground ball foul. Now, right about now, you got a group of people who are arriving at Pro Player Stadium. They're outside of the parking lot, and they thought that their ticket said 4 o'clock and that there's going to be a game. Well, to their shock, there's a game, but it started a little after 1, and they're going to be told I don't know what they're going to be told. Come back later when this is sort of over. Well, we'll let you in.
What would your reaction be as a fan if you didn't listen to the radio or TV and said, hey, we're going to the game at 4:30, and all of a sudden you show up, they won't let you in the parking lot. Your reaction toward management, you have to be furious.
And you'd have to think that's a pretty big crowd they had, right? They had a big sellout crowd is going to be arriving here. And you have to figure out a 44,000 plus. I don't know what percentage knows what the plan was, especially since it was executed after 1 a.m. last night. Well, maybe when these innings are over, we'll take a little peek outside and see how that's going. It's not like you can tell 44,000 to wait in the waiting room.
Nor can you get enough operators on duty to call all your season ticket holders.
And Mendoza's pitch to Cangelosi fills the count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out. Yankees really didn't take advantage of an opportunity that was sitting there. And of course they were undone with a little help by the umpires. So it's 4-1 here as we watch the Marlins bat in the bottom of the 4th. And Cangelosi with this one curling away from Bernie Williams, who makes a fabulous catch on the run. We had a perfect view from that up here in the broadcast booth, and that had a lot of spin on it, and the spin was going away from Bernie Williams.
And he literally outran this ball. There's a little extra jet right there. He takes a long lunge. Perfect technique. Has the palm to the ground with the pocket wide open, gives him every chance to grab it. And at that point, it looked like no way he's going to get there. Watch him just outrun the baseball and catch up with it.
Just beautiful. 2 outs and the base is empty. The hitter is Edgar Renteria, who has walked and grounded out. And Jimmy, every once in a while you see a play and you want to retell the things that happen to an outfielder when he's trying to make a catch like that. You're hitting the ground so hard. Well, maybe Bernie's a little bit more graceful than some, but your eyeballs are bouncing. It's real difficult to keep an eye on things.
You try, as an outfielder, you're trained to try to run on the balls of your feet, because when you do run on your heels, that's when the ball tends to bobble up and down. But of course, one of the great center fielders in Yankee Stadium history always ran on his heels and had pretty good success catching, and that was the Mick. Always ran on his heels, almost like flat-footed.
And Bernie runs one of the most exaggerated on the balls of your foot running styles that anybody would ever see.
He has that sprinter's stride, and that's why he can outrun the baseball. He gets that last little lunge with the last strides that a lot of outfielders don't.
What's interesting, the field has got to be drenched, and I think it started to rain again. It has to be drenched, and Bernie Williams' uniform, from the best that I can tell, is not soaked from that full out dive in center field. Well, maybe it's a little wet, but not as drenched as I thought it would be.
No, the pump system here, they really do a great job.
Got him. Ramiro Mendoza with a 1-2-3 inning. Bernie Williams with the asterisk defensive play. Oh, and now Zimmer's reacting to something that Bonet said to him. Oh, it's there, that far outside. Now they are talking about the Cecil Fielder pitch. There you go. So the game goes on back here in Florida, and the hitter for the Yankees will be Derek Jeter. Most people will agree that Don Zimmer, is what you get if you call central casting and you say, can I have a manager, please, for a Hollywood role? You'd get Don Zimmer. And then to see him in an argument like that, a classic baseball confrontation with the umpire.
He should have been in Bull Durham, and that was very professionally done by Zim. I mean, he walked out, knew he was out of the game, and he said to Bonet, that's weak, and then he got into it, and he, like you said, he got his money's worth.
But Bonet must have said something to light his fuse.
Well, he got in David Wells' face last night. I just wish that as much as players look at video, league presidents would look at video of umpires' conduct. This has just been awful what we've seen starting last night. You'll never have a bad game as a home plate umpire if you call the borderline pitches strikes. You please everyone. Hitters go off the plate a little bit anyway, but when you have that inconsistent back and forth, you get a lot of notoriety, and Bonet has in the last 24 hours.
You know, it's difficult sometimes when you say you have replays to, you know, really analyze and look at things. But I think overall we try to be fair to guys and say, you know, replays, they had to call it live and so forth. But let's face it, this is the major leagues for everyone concerned. If you don't have the skills as a pitcher or a hitter, you're going to be exposed. And the same holds true for everyone on the field. Derek Jeter, with a very patient at bat, draws the walk against the rookie pitcher Stanifer, who came on and replacing Pat Rapp.
Well, and umpires aside here, Al, what the Yankees have to pay attention to now, we've talked about their great ratio of balls and walks and strikeouts. They also leave more men on base than any team in the American League. They have to start capitalizing on these opportunities.
Remember the most recent statistic. Steve Hurt told me over 70% of the time, if the leadoff man gets on. Oh no, he told me it's even more than that.
I think Tom Seaver used to say 88%. If the leadoff man got on with a walk, he would score.
No matter how the leadoff man gets on. Here's Wade Boggs launching one to the gap. Not enough pace on the wet field. It'll hold up and only be a single. So first and third with nobody out.
With some good at-bats today. Now, his first at-bat, he got an infield single, but the new prescription, the improved vision, and he shoots this up in the gap in right center field. Up until today, he had only hit 138 on his birthday, and he had never had 2 hits in a game on his birthday. He's got 2 for 3 today.
Happy birthday, Wade Boggs. So Bernie Williams is the hitter. The sky's getting a little dark once again here. We've already had a rain delay over an hour, hour 12. Andy Pettitte and Ramiro Mendoza also have their birthdays today. And the last time Yankee teammates were born on the same day in the same year, it was Rich Bordy and Dennis Rasmussen. Johnny Sane and Phil Rizzuto were the best pair of players. The best pair of players. Oh, and Bernie gives a little glance to Stanifer on the high and inside
Come on
pitch.
now, Bernie. He's not trying to throw at you. That's just a knee-jerk reaction. Hitters are not accustomed to pitches coming up and in. And hey, Bernie looked out at him for an instant like, don't be throwing at me.
Little let's go Yankees chant has started, and the Marlins fans are booing that. So a little spunk in the crowd here. The count is 1-1. Yankees down 3, and it's 2-1. See, the skies are spritzing again. You probably never even heard the word spritzing until you came to New York, did you?
No, heard it in the Midwest.
Bernie down the line. Oh, what a play at first base by Conine, and he holds on to the ball. Well, the Yankees have really been done in by the defense on the corners for Florida. Bobby Bonilla turned a fabulous double play last inning, and here's Jeff Conine.
Yeah, not foot speed, but agility. This is just a terrific play. I mean, this is the kind of play turns the whole game around. He gets over and touches the bag on a ball that would have been at least a double. Yeah, we're talking 4-3 with Bernie Williams at second base, but Conine gets the sure out at first, can't do anything else, but he has shown in this series not maybe a Gold Glover at first base, but tremendous quickness going side to side.
Meanwhile, Leland has gone out to the mound. That's Jim Leland, the manager. He has pulled Stanifer, and we've got a new pitcher in the ball game. Heredia is in from the bullpen for the Florida Marlins. A run did score, and it's 4-2. With Heredia's warm-ups, we'll pause on MSG. Back in a moment. 18th of June, Felix Heredia will turn 20.
20? 21.
21. Sorry, 21.
Young enough.
It still should get your attention, though.
It does.
He'll face Tino Martinez with Wade Boggs on at second base. Tino hitting .308. Yankees have a run in. It scored 1 in the 4th and 1 in the 5th. Boggs has had 2 singles on his birthday. Tino puts this one way high over the head. of Kurt Abbott at second base, and he pulls it down. 2 outs. So the hitter will be Paul O'Neill. Martinez on the day 0 for 3. O'Neill has flied to center and walked at 311.
Jim Leyland trying to get the matchups right now, because whether you're 21, 31, or 41, a left-hander with a pretty good slider, you can get left-hand hitters out, and that's what Heredia has been able to do. Not a hard thrower, but he has that breaking ball working away from the lefties.
What do you think it does to the hitters collectively when they know that the strike zone is what the strike zone has been today?
Well, I think from a hitter standpoint, they have to like it, except everyone, particularly Don Zimmer, upset at the fact that the call on Cecil Fielder was not consistent with the Greg Bonet strike zone. I mean, that pitch was way out of it. But I think for the most part, the hitters know with him behind the plate, they can be pretty selective. As long as they know early on and they know it's going to be consistent. But he got himself in trouble with the blatant call on Fielder. And then on a borderline pitch, wouldn't call the strike for Mendoza.
2-0 to O'Neill. Still very, very gray. Not a light gray, sort of a battleship gray above us here in South Florida.
Good situation for the Yankees. You see Boggs at second, but O'Neill take a pitch, maybe two. If he could draw a walk, then, you know, Witten is a switch hitter, and he's been one of the Yankees' best. He's been their best with men in scoring position.
He waits on deck.
Wow, did we misread the count?
I think something, I don't know, all of a sudden it's 3-1.
Well, that would be surprising if Paul O'Neill had the green light at 3-0 against the left-hand pitcher with Mark Witten on deck, who was, you know, a right-hand hitter with some power. A lot of confidence by Joe Torre.
Ball 4. Walks aplenty for Yankee hitters today. Jeter's walked. O'Neill's now walked twice. Witten's walked. Kelly's walked. Girardi's walked twice. And now it's up to Mark Witten to try and get something across here. It'll have to happen with 2 away. Doc Gooden will pitch the second game here at Pro Player Stadium today. That's a strike. And we will have it for you on MSG.
The second game is going to be a real family reunion with Gary Sheffield, his nephew, on the Marlins, and about 300 family and friends in attendance.
Yeah, they didn't walk in and say we need tickets. They walked in and said we need a section.
And I understand Sheffield picked up he took care of the tickets. I guess you can do that. Yeah, I guess you can do that when you're in that kind of bracket. 6-7 million, somewhere in there.
1-1 to Mark Witten. Off the plate inside. 2 balls and a strike. So it's still Wade Boggs at second base. He's singled. And O'Neill at first with the walk. Charles Johnson is the Marlins catcher. Another infield pop fly. And that will do it. Nicely done for the Abbott's hitting .299.
Floridian, St. Pete, Dixie Hollins High School, came up with the Oakland Athletics, known more for his bat than his glove ability.
Beautiful pitch. Had Abbott all contorted.
You know you've got a pretty good breaking ball when you get a hitter ducking out of the way like he's being knocked down. Watch Abbott duck out of the way.
Yikes.
It catches the inside corner.
Well, that's quite a sequence for Ramiro Mendoza. Abbott is struck out. We've got one out here in the 5th. Well, we talked earlier about the fans who are arriving now thinking that they're supposed to be able to see a game, only to be told they've got to wait for this game in progress to be done. What the Marlins have set up as a hospitality tent, it can't hold 45,000 people, but at least it's something. So they can watch, and I'm sure libate a bit. Is that a word?
What was the word?
Libate.
That's cool.
That's a good. You can libate, right?
I'll tell you, that's a nice concept. What a tailgate party.
Sheffield swinging, and it's 0-2. Last time up, he went long. Kenny Rogers watched it go up near the foul pole, and just on the other side of it, that made it 4-0. Now the Yankees have chipped away.